Welcome to Secure Money Mindset, the ultimate podcast for financial planning tips and strategies. Our episodes are designed to be concise and to the point, lasting no more than 30 minutes. Each episode features seasoned advisors from Secure Planning Group or an outside financial specialist discussing crucial issues and providing actions to consider when addressing your top financial concerns. We value honesty and transparency, meaning we present both the good and the bad news in a clear and concise manner. Our goal is to provide you with reliable insights and practical guidance. Be sure to hit the follow button to stay up to date with our latest episodes. For more information, please visit our website at securepg.net. Let's dive into this week's episode of Secure Money Mindset.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Secure Money Mindset podcast. We appreciate you joining us again on another episode today. I'm sitting here with Nate Borrmann. We are both financial advisors here at Secure Planning Group, and we're going to spend some time with you today to talk about the importance of setting up a financial plan as a young professional. So a lot of the time throughout the various podcasts we've already hosted and anytime we kind of speak in general, it seems like it's almost geared more towards an older audience. We wanted to spend time today to kind of talk as two younger professionals ourselves in terms of the importance of establishing a financial plan at a young age, and then also kind of pointing out some of the components of that financial plan that some people our age might consider themselves to not be important for them. But again, just kind of drill home some of those topics and why we think it is important to start young.
Yeah, I think a lot of the times, a lot of the people that we're working with right now, just in our natural circles, are similar in age to us. So this is kind of going to be some of our experience too, to say this is what we're running into, and it could be beneficial to you as well. So Mike, if you want to jump into the first point, take it away.
Yeah, and to Nate's point, this is really just us brainstorming, hey, this is what's coming up most often in our conversations with the younger folks that we work with in a planning capacity. So one of the things we kind of wanted to jump right into is kind of the importance of where you seek your advice. So being younger and being resourceful with technology, social media, and all the things at our fingertips today, a lot of folks our age just go straight to a Google search or straight to YouTube. More commonly, and in the past, in the absence of some of those resources, most folks would just go to a family member or somebody that they trust. And really, the biggest takeaway from all of that is advice should be personalized. And what worked for your parents, it's a whole different generation. What worked for your family and loved ones, it might not be the best fit for what your given objectives are. And then the same thing goes for YouTube and Google, is you're just generally searching. You're not necessarily putting all the different inputs in terms of what's specific to your life. So that's kind of a launching point that I kind of wanted to throw out there, is that where you seek your advice is very important, because avoiding mistakes is kind of the biggest value that we bring as a financial advisor, especially early on in your life. Is some of the mistakes that you can make up in your earlier years can really set you back. So we want our goal and role as a financial advisor is really to educate you on all the things you might not previously be aware of. But also, going back to the point of where you seek advice, is knowing that when you sit with us, we want to be on the same side of the table as you, and we're giving you personalized advice based on your situation.
Yeah, and to Mike's point about that too, we're going to use specific planning software to help you meet what goals you have. So whether you want to buy a house or save up for a child's college education, we're going to tailor your plan to that to do it in the most efficient way possible. Whereas if you're just Googling how to do that, yeah, for maybe a college plan, it just says use a 529 account, which is obviously a great tool, but might not be specific to the way you want to fund college. So just understanding what the different tools are, and like Mike was saying too, like with the education piece, it's really important.
Yeah, and to Nate's point there's all these other, like what I was kind of mentioning as inputs. It's all what's specific to your life. So your income levels, your investment time horizons, the different objectives like starting a family, purchasing your first home, all of those things come into play when we're making recommendations as a financial advisor. So it goes back to the whole, we keep repeating ourselves, but the education component could not be more important, especially at an early age. In terms of kind of breaking out into a couple different topics that we wanted to touch on, I wanted to just kind of lay them out, and then we'll kind of jump into each one of them individually. So first would be debt analysis. Second would be contributing to retirement accounts or thinking about investment management more generally. Third would be reviewing all of your insurance options. And fourth would be a formal budgeting process. So kind of jumping into each one of those components, we'll jump into the debt analysis first. So if you're a young professional and you're just coming out of college, some of us will have student loans, credit card debt, whatever it may be. Working with a financial advisor, we can walk you through kind of whether it's a payoff plan or help you view everything from a larger perspective, not just in this vacuum of, hey, I have $20,000 worth of student loan debt. We want to look at everything as a bigger picture and help you determine how you should tackle that on a monthly basis.
Yeah, and that's why we wanted to start this podcast with this, because most people, or a lot of people our age, have some relationship with debt, whether it's student loan debt, a car payment, maybe credit card debt. Everyone kind of has a starting point to that. So something a financial professional can help with is, like Mike said, debt payoff. And we also have other resources that we can tap into to help you make sure you're paying off those loans in the most efficient way possible, and it's in line with what your goals and desires are.
And to that point, it always falls back to building the foundations of a true comprehensive financial plan. So anytime we're recommending a specific debt payoff plan, we're falling back to that larger overarching financial plan. So we're making sure that if we're recommending you pay $400 a month into this student loan debt, that's because it fits into your financial plan. And we already know all of the things that we've previously using fact finder to go extract those facts. And this goes back to, it is personalized. It's what's best for your neighbor or your peer might not be what's best for you.
And just a general strategy you might find online. Like there's always good strategies, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily a good strategy for you. Like what's good for your parents might not be good for your, even like your siblings or like some of your closest friends might not always mesh the same.
Absolutely. Transitioning into the next topic in terms of investment management. So one of the things that always comes up when we're speaking to younger professionals is that there's like this stigma of working with a financial advisor in terms of assuming that you have to have a certain level of assets or investable assets to work with a financial planner. And in our eyes, we don't necessarily view it that way. But the importance of starting at a young age, we really can't harp on that enough. And there's kind of a couple different things to bring up from that perspective. And one of those would just be the simple concept of compound interest. So everyone has their different examples of doubling a penny every day for the next 30 days or whatever it may be. But it really does have a meaningful impact to your financial picture. Even if you're just contributing $30 a month to a savings account that you turn into an investment account. If you do that at the age of 24 or 25, by the time you get to 40 years old, you're having compound interest work on your behalf. And really modeling that out for you using the planning software that we use and some of the resources we have makes it real for you. So that whole $30 or $100 a month, whatever it is, it might sound like it's not a lot today, but if we're able to project that out over a 20 to 30 year period, you can see how meaningful it is.
Yeah, and that point too, having specific goals too would also determine how the money's invested. So choosing the right models for your goals is also really important, and it might not be something you get outside of a financial professional providing that education for you. So that's really good. And I like the penny doubled every day example. I wish it was real.
Yeah, exactly. And then another thing to kind of bring up along those lines is it goes back to like where you're seeking the advice. So a lot of folks our age, we live in this this kind of immediate response, or what's the word I'm using?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, we live in a culture where everything's right at our fingertips. Immediate gratification.
Immediate gratification. Sorry, thank you. So the immediate gratification concept is really kind of gets in the way when it comes to long-term money management. So helping younger folks understand that, hey, you might follow a short-term trader or someone who day trades, and that might look exciting, and you might have an interest in that. That's fine. That's not what we're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. It's helping folks understand that if you're plugging a couple bucks away a month, it could be very meaningful over the long term, and then helping you understand how those different buckets of money should be invested given the different objectives for each. So you can have that play money account, you can have that short-term trading account, but that really shouldn't be what you're banking on in terms of long-term savings or retirement. So working with a professional and then using professional money managers that we have access to, you're investing your money like the largest institutions in the world, like the largest investors in the world. But again, we're customizing a plan around your specific objectives.
Yeah, and the next point we wanted to bring up is insurance. And insurance planning is really important all throughout our life, but especially when we're young, especially young and healthy, and you're able to get the lowest rates possible. The two things that affect your insurability the most are, one, getting older and having health complications. So looking at these things when you're younger and putting in place maybe some life insurance or disability insurance, depending on your situation, is a really important consideration to a financial plan.
Yeah, and that it all falls back to that theme of education.
Yeah, right.
Oftentimes when younger folks or people of any age come to us, they kind of have these predetermined assumptions when it comes to topics like insurance or like disability insurance in particular. And our job as the financial advisor and a fiduciary is educate you on all the different options that are out there, but more than anything, learn as much as we can about your specific situation and make sure any of our recommendations are aligned with your specific goals and objectives.
Yeah.
Same goes for insurance as it does on the investments.
Yeah, you're right. And then another point to that too is, it really is about the education, because a lot of people do get benefits through their work that include disability insurance or life insurance.
Yeah.
And understanding exactly what you have there and possibly supplementing with more, or understanding what the differences between the two are and how each of those can be beneficial to you. And also just giving an education on the wide range of products that are out there, so people really understand what they have, and it's not just like, oh, I think I have life insurance. Like, that's not a really great place to end up. So doing the education on that is really important.
Yeah, and expanding on that in particular, again, this is just based off of the feedback we receive from folks our age all the time. Is I often get the feedback, well, I have pretty good coverage through work. I think I'm pretty squared away. And it's educating you on, all right, well, if you were to leave that employer, how do you convert that coverage? Things like that. Even if you tell us, hey, I'm more than comfortable with the amount of coverage I have through work, it's educating you on the things like the fact that that doesn't travel with you as you leave the employer unless there's conversion options within those policies. So there's all these assumptions. It goes back to, there's all these assumptions that you guys make, or investors or individuals make. We're there to help you understand what you're looking at, understand some of the risks you may not have been considering, but also from a planning perspective, we're on your side of the table. Anything we're recommending is because it improves your plan. But from an insurability perspective, it's super important to get this taken care of at a young age, because as Nate pointed out, cost of coverage really solely depends on health and age. So your cost of premiums will never go down as you age. It will always go up.
That's true.
So there's a bunch of benefits to locking in rates at a younger age, and then educating you on the different versions of insurance. And then to Nate's point about the different providers, we are purely independent.
Yeah, so, that's a really good point.
So regardless of what your objectives are, we're going to go out to the marketplace and find what the best solution is given those objectives.
Now, Mike, I know they really loved us talking about insurance. Do you want to bring us home on an even more exciting topic?
Yeah. So budgeting.
Love it.
Yeah. So budgeting is always a sensitive topic because it involves what you spend your money on.
That's true.
So getting into those details can be interesting when you're working with a young couple or something like that, where it's the first time they're bringing their financial lives together.
Yep.
But why it's important is we need to know what your lifestyle is, because we don't want you to compromise that in order to meet the recommendations that we're kind of laying out there for you.
Yeah.
So we want to know how you spend money, why you spend money the way you do, and we want to match up anything that we're recommending on our side to those lifestyles.
Yeah, and that's a really good point there about your lifestyle too, and understanding how much you are spending and also your long-term goals too. Is your budget now consistent with your long-term goals, and maybe how much money you're saving or spending? So really understanding that, like, living expense numbers, typically how we refer to some of this stuff, is a really crucial part of a financial plan. And we have some tools here to help get budgets in line, which is really helpful to plans. And yeah, it's a really key component to understand them, even though budgeting might be a scary word to a lot of people. At the end of the day, like, doing the work to see what you're spending can really behoove your financial plan going forward.
Yeah, and we're always thinking about things in a 1 to 3 year, 5 year, 10 year plus.
Yeah.
But then as your financial planner, we're also looking towards that end goal of, hey, at one point in time, you don't want to work full time anymore. So understanding what that lifestyle looks like today versus 10 years from now versus when you're in retirement helps us calculate exactly how much we need to have put away by the time you go to retire, because we know that your lifestyle costs X amount of dollars. So in retirement, we need to be able to have X amount of dollars per year for you to have access to. So those are a few of the components that we think of in terms of the importance of starting young. The best way really to have this conversation is to reach out to someone like us. So at Secure Planning Group, we'd love to spend time with you learning more about your situation. If you have any questions about general topics within financial planning, feel free to leave a comment or reach out to us directly. But unless you have any other kind of key takeaways.
Yeah, I think those are all really important considerations for people our age. And I want to say too, the two biggest things I always talk about when I talk about us is, one, we're independent. Love that. Also, we work as a team too. So you might see Mike and I here as two young dudes, but we also have people on the team who've been doing this for 20, 25 years. So when it comes to things we might not have seen before, having like that backbone on the team is really important. So I would say teamwork's really important in what we do, and also helps us answer those important financial questions.
Perfect. Well, Nate, I appreciate you taking the time.
Hey, man, this was good.
Yeah, and we appreciate you guys tuning in. So please, like I said, hit the subscribe button, leave a couple comments, and then we'd love to hear from you.
Yep. See you next time.